West and Russia over Ukraine continue to dominate the press today. Let's start by looking at the French paper Libération. It has just one word on its front page today, and that is escalation. Now, this comes after the parliament in Crimea voted to join Russia and set a date for a referendum in just a couple of days. Crimea is throwing itself into Russia's arms, says Libération. The key question is just how far the Russian president will go in this arm wrestling match with the West. In its editorial, Libération wonders, what does Vladimir Putin really want? And according to Libération, what Putin is doing here is signaling to everybody that he's not afraid of anybody. This is an affirmation of power and authority in the face of the international community, says Libération.
All right, well, Florence, other papers are focusing on what exactly is driving the Russian president.
That's right. A lot of papers are getting psychoanalytical today and saying that maybe emotions might be driving the president. I pulled out two articles. First of all, in the international New York Times, where you can read here that it's a sense of betrayal that's driving Putin in his actions in Ukraine. This article says that Putin felt somewhat betrayed by the way the Maidan standoff went down in the end, the fact that Yanukovych fled, that security forces withdrew from Kiev, and this made him very angry, especially at European and Western diplomats. So that's what's driving him, according to the international New York Times. In The Independent, Mary Dejevsky says that emotions might be at play here as well. This aggression is more of a cry to be heard than an attempt to invade a sovereign nation. Basically, what this is pretty much a tantrum. All Russia really wants is to be treated as a participant with a seat at the table.
All right, well, let's move on to some news here in France and French politics, and we've got some key municipal elections coming up.
That's right, those municipal elections that we've been hearing about for months, years. Well, they're coming up at the end of the month, and yesterday was the last day for parties to declare their candidates in all the various races. Analysts say that Marine Le Pen's far-right National Front Party could do very well in these elections, and in fact, they've quadrupled the number of races that they'll be taking part in since the last municipal elections back in 2008. They'll be running in 570 races versus 120. But Libération wonders, is the National Front actually just ballooning these figures? It seems like they kind of scrambled at the end to put a bunch of candidates on their lists. Some of them are very old. For instance, there's a woman that's over 100 years old that's running in Saint-Gervais in the Rhône area, and some of them are very young. In Villejuif, so just outside of Paris, there's a 17-year-old who's still in high school.
That's quite a big age gap there, okay.
Big age gap. And in fact, if you read Aujourd'hui en France, some people say that the party signed them up for races when they actually didn't even want to run for races. For instance, in Orléans, a couple in their 90s was signed up, even though the wife has Alzheimer's disease. And in Lillebonne, 22 people thought they were signing a petition, when in fact they were signing a declaration to become a candidate. So pretty incredible stuff in Le Parisien today, and lawyers are taking a closer look to see if all this is legal.
All right, well, we'll have to see then what the results are at the...
Best of luck to them.
Exactly, at the end of the month. Now, finally, tomorrow is International Women's Day, but today, there's a somewhat controversial film about women that's come out in India.
That's right. If we take a look at the Mumbai Mirror, they talk about how today is Pink Day. Now, the film is called Gulab Gang. Gulab is Hindi for pink or rose, and we can take a look at some of the footage from the trailer, and you'll get a good sense of perhaps what this movie is about. This is a Bollywood film that's based on the real-life story of a woman named Sampat Pal. Now, her gang was called the Gulabi Gang, which she started in 2006. It's kind of a vigilante group she set up with some friends of hers. Now, they would wear these pink saris, they would walk around with bamboo sticks, and they would protect women who themselves couldn't protect themselves from violence and abuse, etc. Now, because of this, Sampat Pal became somewhat of a national celebrity. And now comes along this movie. But what's interesting is she didn't want this movie to come out. She says that this movie wrongly portrayed her and damaged her reputation, so she actually brought the movie to court. Now, the High Court in Delhi ruled that the movie can indeed come out, but there has to be a clear disclaimer that it has nothing to do with her. It seems like the cat is kind of already the bag. I really hope this movie is going to come out in France one day.
All right, well, that was Florence Lumino with our daily press review there. You're watching live from Paris. It's time now for sports, and we start with the results from the World Cup giant slalom race.